It is party time, Mom. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. We're in the mothership, which is Studio 22, the new, improved, all new, very big Studio 22. The Puppet Master Mark is back in action. He is at the helm, driving us into the nether regions of all things insanity. Glad that Mark is feeling a little bit better. You ever notice, Mark, these days you can't just take a day off work? Like that's the thing. Like, you can't just call in sick and say, yeah, I'm not feeling good today. They put you in like a 10 to 14-day quarantine now. You can't just say, hey, I'm not feeling well today. No, suddenly you're suspect. You got the Omicron. You got the Megatron, Chris. Super Mario Cruz is over there as well, telling me what to think and how to think. We just got through the January 6th. That's basically a leftist national holiday right now. And we didn't talk much about that. Didn't want to. I want to kind of get past it. But, you know, with the January 6th anniversary having come and gone, I want to once again publicly condemn the actions of that day. I did it the first time on the actual day right here on this show. But since the left has basically turned J6 into a national day of remembrance, I figured it fitting to remember a few other things that seem to be forgotten by the leftist progressive whack jobs in the mainstream media. Remember the good old days when protesters firebombed a federal building in Portland? Oh, yeah. Don't forget October 14th of 2021 when climate activists stormed and forced their way into the Department of the Interior building in Washington, D.C. They injured numerous law enforcement and even sent one officer to the hospital. The Capitol building invasion over the Kavanaugh hearings, Josh Hawley's wife and children were threatened in their home by Antifa. Tucker Carlson's home was attacked while his wife hid in the kitchen pantry. There was a 62-year-old man that was wearing a Donald Trump T-shirt that was viciously attacked with a crowbar in New Jersey. San Jose, 2016, protesters jumped on a car, punched and pelted Trump supporters with eggs and water balloons, snatched signs, and stole Make America Great hats off the supporters' heads before burning the hats and snapping selfies with the charred remains. Remember El Cajon, California, 2016, when the leftist mob beat, kicked, and pummeled a Trump supporter for wearing a MAGA hat. How many people have had their hats snatched or slapped off their heads? Now, if you don't think that's a big deal, then you've never been to Texas. How about vandals throwing bricks through windows of Delaware County Republican Party office, Republican headquarters in North Carolina firebombed? They said Nazi Republicans leave town or else. It was that 11-year-old boy that was badly beaten for voting Trump in a mock election. There were 4 anti-Trump activists in custody after the mentally disabled man was tied up, tortured on Facebook Live. You remember that video? There were anti-Trump protesters that blocked an ambulance rushing to the hospital in Connecticut. Representative Tom Garrett of Virginia received a message telling him how this is how we're going to kill your wife. How many bike lock attacks? Cups filled with cement. Remember Andy No? Congressman Steve Scalise gravely wounded in Alexandria baseball field ambush by an avowed Bernie Sanders supporter. Indiana State Police say shots were fired at a truck carrying a Make America Great Again flag and an American flag on eastbound 465 in 2017. Anti-Donald Trump campaigner shoots Republican neighbor twice in the head. Missouri State Senator Maria Chappelle Nadal made a Facebook post which read, "I hope Trump is assassinated," and then she deleted it. There were increased threats to Homeland Security, including a burned animal carcass that was left on a staffer's porch. There was a Florida man that was charged with threatening to kill Republican Rep. Brian Mast's children over the treatment of illegal immigrants at the border. There was a Cambridge man who faced charges for a cash offer to kill ICE agents. Remember the Broadway actress who asked the question, "Where is John Wilkes Booth when we need him?" Madonna wanted to bomb the White House. Johnny Depp, he said we needed another good actor to assassinate a president. Georgetown professor said white Republicans should be castrated and they should be fed to swine. Remember when Dana Lash received death threats against her children on Twitter? When a man sent letters with ricin to the Pentagon and suspicious letters to Ted Cruz? There were 4 shots fired into Volusia County Republican headquarters. Remember when the guy in Jacksonville, Florida, drove his car through a Republican voter registration tent? The organizer of a Yorba Linda rally against police brutality and racism was charged for driving her car into counter-protesters and running over a woman's head. There was a protester who works for a left-wing activist organization that trapped Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona in an elevator, berating him about sexual assault survivors just before the Judiciary Committee voted on Kavanaugh's confirmation. There was a woman who confronted Susan Collins of Maine outside her home in Washington before the Kavanaugh vote and then tried to get into a members-only elevator with her in the Capitol. Remember that? There was Diane Black from Tennessee, who received a phone message threatening to kill her. The wife of Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, Jamie Gardner, received a text message after the Kavanaugh confirmation vote that graphically showed a beheading. Maxine Waters was constantly saying that members of Trump's administration should not have peace and that people should get in their faces at gas stations, restaurants, or wherever they may see them. Remember those mostly peaceful protests of last summer? The encouragement by elected leftist leaders to harass conservatives and drive them out of public spaces? How many people died in the anarchist Chaz zone or the CHOP zone? What about BLM? What about Antifa? What about Eric Holder, who was the chief law enforcement officer under President Barack Obama, who told supporters of Georgia's Democratic nominee for governor that they should, quote, kick them when Republicans go low? I just want to remind you, folks, that there's a lot of quack jobs out there in the world. There's a lot of crazy people, and we condemn all those actions. And it's amazing to me, the people who want to make January 6th, the way that Kamala Harris said, on par with Pearl Harbor or with 9/11. Absolute insanity. To think that you would equate a guy with a Viking helmet and a bear rug over his shoulders coming in to the Senate floor and equating that to terrorists flying airplanes into the World Trade Center or into the Pentagon or into a field in Pennsylvania, and in an instant, 3,000 lives are gone. It's insanity. You're insane if that's what you believe. You're insane. But obviously, we've seen it. We've seen the people who lauded Kathy Griffin holding up the beheaded, in effigy, the head of Donald Trump. And that's okay. That's okay, right? Because the left is progressive. They're going to justify all that, say, oh, well, none of that equates. None of that equates to what happened to that horrible day that democracy was almost destroyed on January 6th. Now, you understand that what was going on January 6th when they were announcing the Electoral College votes and naming Joe Biden the president-elect. I want to remind you guys that, believe it or not, that whole thing that was going on in the Capitol, not the protest, what was going on inside the Capitol with those lawmakers, was a symbolic action. If they had been overrun by rioters and protesters and, quote, insurrectionists trying to overthrow the government, believe it or not, their so-called election results, they're still on the computers. Just because, if they'd have carried out the ballot boxes, if they'd have carried out the notes, the pieces of paper, they still would have had the information. So it's not like they could have overturned the election because they stormed the Capitol. Now, it's amazing to me, the people that I see the images of who are in wheelchairs, snapping pictures, staying within the velvet ropes as they walk through with their iPhones up, taking pictures inside the Capitol building. I'll remind you, folks, that people who plan to overthrow the government don't buy return airplane tickets to go home. If they're going to occupy, then they plan to stay. They also tend to bring a little more than a few zip ties. They bring guns. And you say, oh, but they found pipe bombs near the Capitol. Well, that is the most surveilled piece of real estate on the planet. And I would think that you would see maybe some images somewhere of somebody planting those pipe bombs. But, you know, that's just me and my crazy conspiracy theory speculations. But I'm just crazy. Speaking of crazy, Alec Baldwin, he delivered an Instagram account on the Rush shooting. Did y'all watch that video, Chris, Mark? Did y'all watch that? Let's play that thing right now.
The only way we can honor the death of Helena Hutchins is to find out the truth. That's what I'm working toward, insisting on, demanding that the organizations involved in this investigation do everything in their power to find out what really happened. That's all that matters. The best way to honor the death of Helena Hutchins is to find out the truth. And any suggestion that we're not complying, myself and any lawyers I'm working with or what have you, is a lie. That's a lie. We're gonna, as soon as we go through this process, then by all means we will comply.
First of all, I take offense that he's using my setup there in the car. Why are you taking a video? Why? That's me, dude. I do the talking head in the vehicle, bro. That's a Chad Prather copyright, first of all. Next, we're going to see his ass with a cowboy hat on. and he'll have a dog in the back seat. That's what I do, Alec. There's a lot of differences between me and Alec Baldwin. One, I don't shoot people. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
And Chad,
we're going to get to the bottom of this, Chris.
Because isn't the investigation pretty simple? He had a gun, he pressed the trigger, he shot a woman.
Yeah. He shot 2 people with 1 bullet.
Yeah.
And 1 died, and that's a sad situation. So let's get to the bottom of it. You did it. There it is. There it is. Now, it's amazing to me that I read a story just this morning about a police officer who accidentally shot a perpetrator. She's in jail. Alec Baldwin accidentally shot Helena Hutchinson, and he's out there making car videos and holding up his Splenda packets. I don't know if y'all saw that. You got that? Don't have that. But he holds up the Splenda packet, which totally doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, it talks about somebody gave him a Splenda packet and sent it to him or whatever. And that was his sign that it was going to be a good year. And he said there's nothing short of a miracle. Can you believe something as silly as this has so much value? Put it in his pocket so as to never lose it again. His sugar substitute. Oh my God, the Splenda miracles! I'm telling you. He actually even tried to equate that. He said receiving that Splenda packet from a fan was a miracle, and referred to the riots at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th in his little video. This dude is unhinged, man. He's unhinged, out of control, out of control. I'm gonna get controversial real quick. Speaking of celebrities, I was sad. I mean, I guess everybody's sad to hear that somebody that you know and recognize, and they kind of come into your home day in and day out. And, if you watch shows like Full House or America's Funniest Home Videos, this person passes away at the age of 65, which is very young. So Bob Saget passed away. And I've never heard anything but good things about Bob Saget. There were a lot of people who came out, and, I understand you guys want to start blasting people on the Hollywood side of things. And like, oh, they're all guilty of this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. Don't do that. There's a lot of craziness in Hollywood, but just because somebody makes their money in Hollywood doesn't mean they're out there doing creepy things or whatever. From all intents and purposes, I was about a degree of separation away from Bob Saget in the world of comedy. I didn't know the man, but I always heard good things about him. Heard he was a nice guy, good guy. But this is the point I'm going to make. He just made the comment that he got juiced and boosted. He got the juice and the boost. And he got the boost back in December. Now, when you just find somebody in their hotel room and they're not releasing why, because let me tell you something. If he'd have found, let's say, after dying from autoerotic asphyxiation, that'd have been all over the news, right? If he'd have pulled a David Carradine like in Thailand, and he's found naked hanging in a closet, they would have been talking about that, right? If he'd have had a heart attack, they'd been talking about that. If it was a fentanyl overdose or something of that nature, they'd have been talking about that. What's that? No, it'd have come out. It'd have been there. It'd have been all over Telegram. There'd have been the blurry images and stuff. You'd have to turn sideways to try to figure out what it is. So I'm just speculating. We'll see how much this gets swept under the rug, because they don't need a notable celebrity who is publicly coming out talking about getting juiced and boost. The juice and the boost. I got to get that phrase down. I like it. That's my new phrase. The blah blah is now getting, because it's not just the blah blah. You don't just get the blah blah. You got to get the juice, but then you got to get the boost. All right. And the other thing on the juice and the boost, and I tweeted this yesterday or the day before, I said, the only people who are getting sick in hospitals are the medical professionals who've gotten the juice and the boost. They're all getting Omicron. So what they need to do is they need to get all those people back, those medical professionals they fired that refused to get the juice, and bring them back in, because you fired them for being healthy. Well, apparently they're still healthy. So maybe if you rehire those folks, bring them back. But I'm sad to hear about Bob Saget. I'm sad about a lot of things. We've had 4, 5 suicides with Texas National Guard members. That makes me sad. 4 were intentional. 1 was accidental. A 6th tried to kill himself but was thwarted. That is the kind of thing that's really got my heart hurting right now. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of pain in the world. Right now, inflation at a 40-year high. It's here to stay because here's the government's dirty little secret. They want it. They want the inflation. So I want you to think about this. Right now, inflation rates are high, higher than the interest on Treasury bonds. So with every day that passes, the government owes less on its mountain of debt. So imagine if your mortgage had a negative interest rate. So you'd probably be in a hurry to pay that off. So your pain is their gain. Protect your savings right now. Hedge against inflation with gold from Birch Gold because the government is sabotaging the value of the U.S. dollar. Birch Gold is the only company I trust and recommend for precious metals. They're going to help you convert an eligible IRA or 401k into an IRA backed by real gold. That's peace of mind, folks. Now, with thousands of satisfied customers and A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, you can trust Birch Gold to help you protect your savings. Text CHAD, I spell it Chad, to 989-898. Right now, get a no-cost, no-obligation info kit. Comprehensive 20-page guide reveals how gold and silver can protect your savings, how you can buy them under the umbrella of a tax-sheltered account. So do it right now. Text the word CHAD to 989-898. That's CHAD, 989-898. Be right back. All right, you would have to be living under a rock. I mean, if you watch this show, you know I've been running for governor. I mean, I've been crisscrossing this state, baby. We did 2 candidate forums last night down in Montgomery County. One in the Woodlands, had about 600-700 people showed up for that. Great turnout. We had an empty chair for Greg Abbott, who refuses to debate. You know, the thing about Greg Abbott is he won't even debate, like if it comes down to it, if he wins this primary election, he won't even debate Robert Francis O'Rourke because he's not a debater. He's not going to do it. It's only going to hurt him if he does it. And so he just thinks that by staying out of it and flying under the radar, he'll be okay in a conservative state like Texas. But we're calling him out on that. But then we had one over in Conroe. So shout out to True Texas Project for doing the one in the Woodlands, and then the Hispanic conservatives of Montgomery County might have gotten that wrong, but some combination of those words. And a good group of folks. We had a blast and had a lot of fun. But going around the state of Texas, I'm just reminded of how much crazy stuff is there. And there was an article, theblaze.com. If you're not getting your news from theblaze.com, you should get your news snippets there. They've got some good, insightful stuff and some great opinion pieces, but they've also got a lot of fun, interesting stories. Here's one. I don't know how I feel about this, Chris. Texas man arrested. You don't see that a lot. Usually it's Florida man. Texas man arrested for driving intoxicated with a lit barbecue pit in his truck bed. That's as Texas as you get. That's Texas right there. So this was last week. He was intoxicated, had a little too much to drink, and he had a lit barbecue pit. This was Harris County, which, of course, is Houston area. They had reported a truck on fire. The sheriff's office responded, and no, there was no automobile malfunction.
Chad,
yeah.
The reason why I pulled that story was, one, because I thought it was you until I saw the mugshot.
You thought it was me?
I thought it was you.
Okay.
And then 2, how much more Texan can you get?
You can't. I mean, that's as Texas as it gets right there.
That is awesome. Now, you should not be driving intoxicated.
You shouldn't have. And the guy, and I'm not going to say his name. It's enough. You can see it at the Blaze. But he was driving intoxicated. Had a little cocaine. With him too. And everybody needs a little cocaine with their brisket. And so don't know where he was driving from or where he was driving to, but by God, somebody's about to eat. You know what I mean? And I went to South Louisiana over the weekend. We went goose hunting, a killer goose hunting. I mean, we slayed them, man. I was with my boys and we were smoking ducks and geese. And it was funny, anytime you post a picture on social media with an animal that you've killed or harvested, you're going to get the pushback, right? Can't believe it. So I posted a picture, Chris. I really should have sent you this picture. I may do it at the break. I posted a picture of, we were in the duck blind, and there was one goose down at my foot, and I looked down, and he was missing a foot. And I don't know if a snapping turtle got him or maybe somebody had banded him at one point in time and it was too tight and he just took his foot off. But he's missing a foot, and he'd been missing it for a while. So I posted a picture of this duck. I said, this duck only has one foot, and I'm calling it Jinsaki because it only circles back. All right? So when it's swimming in the water. Well, people came at me. Why would you shoot a one-legged goose? How dare you? This duck has overcome so many handicaps. And I was like, well, this goose was handicapable. And I don't believe in that kind of, handy privilege, so got shot. Now, when a goose is flying from you at 50 yards, you really can't see their feet to know if it's one-legged or not, especially when there's a couple of hundred of them up there. But then my buddy, Jeremy Christopherson, who was with me, he cooked that goose last night, and he sent me a picture of the one-legged goose. Cooked or being prepared. So a lot of people were like, I can't believe you shoot geese. They mate for life. I was like, well, these don't. Because no. So I posted another picture in the deer blind the other night. I said, since I killed a one-legged goose and everybody lost their mind, maybe I can kill a five-legged deer to make up for it. Probably going to be pretty fast. But yes, folks, I do hunt. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like to hunt. I like to eat what I kill, and I like to fish too. I like to do outdoor things. That is my therapy. I enjoy it. We had a blast in South Louisiana.
What's funny, Chad, is that those people that say, "Oh, why are you hunting?" Blah 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 blah. I don't know about you, but over the weekend there was like 3 different recalls for meat, and poultry. And I've put it on social media, so I was like, this is why I haven't bought any meat or poultry in the last 2 years.
Well, and people have become so non-self-sufficient, right? They think that just going to the store and buying meat. So to me, if you're going to eat meat, so this is like carnivore, national carnivore, I don't know if it's national, but whatever, it's carnivore month, whatever. You'll follow Joe Rogan. He's doing it. Like all he's eating is meat in the month of January, which means his toilet is nasty, okay? But all he's eating is meat in the month of January, and that's not my kind of thing. But the bigger tragedy and travesty to me is we're buying meat processed in weird ways or harvested in weird ways or raised in weird ways, or it's coming from other countries, and then we put a stamp on it because it's packaged here in the U.S., that I have a problem with. But I just know that if hard times ever really were to hit, people are in trouble. They've gotten so accustomed to eating crap that's not really food. If you look at what's in a chicken nugget, and don't get me wrong, I do love a chicken nugget. But if you look at a McDonald's chicken nugget, they actually put chemicals in that to flavor it in such a way so that you want more of them. Like, that's weird. And there's goo and poo and everything else in that stuff. So, yeah, and then, of course, look, I don't know. Not everybody likes to eat a goose or a duck. I kind of like it. I don't mind gamey. I don't mind fishy. I like meat. I like wild. I prefer that kind of taste. And but you better learn because you're in trouble. Here's a news story right here. Bidenflation. Tax costing Americans $5,000 per year. Inflation under Joe Biden is costing American families an average of $5,000 per year. I don't know how you want to hold that information, but let me tell you something. It ain't good. I had to stop this morning riding in. I had to drive a couple hours this morning, and I stopped for diesel. Diesel was $3.50 at the pump, and that's Texas. That ain't even as bad as it is in some parts of the country. Cost me $98. I was about, 75 miles to empty, which is about as low as I'll let my truck get. I try not to let those diesel trucks get too low. Got about 75 miles to empty, so it was about 1/8 of a tank, maybe a little less. $98, fill that sucker up. Thank you, Joe Biden. President doesn't have anything to do with the gas prices. Well, it's amazing to me how the oil and gas companies, they do real well when there's a Democrat in office. They vote Republican, but they don't do well profit-wise when a Republican's in office, okay? But when a Democrat's in office, those oil and gas companies do damn well. They know it. So it's going to cost the typical family about $5,000 a year. That's just the inflation, folks. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This Build Back Better plan, I'm gonna skip over a clip here. I want to go to Jen Psaki. The Build Back Better plan is fully paid for. Look at Jen Psaki right here.
The president is committed, as you talk about spending, to fiscal responsibility and ensuring that our long-term investments are fully paid for. That's why he has proposed a range of ways to pay for his Build Back Better agenda, and why it's fully paid for.
Fully paid for, however many trillions of dollars. Well, we're sitting here at today's 6.8% inflation rate. Translates into 7.5% tax increase, $1,500 tax increase for household earning the median family income, $3,500 in lost purchasing power, $1,500 in higher taxes. Biden inflation has cost the typical family $5,000 a year. But don't worry, the Build Back Better plan, all those trillions of dollars that don't exist, is paid for, according to Jen Psaki. Paid for! Yeah, it's paid for. It's paid for. Paying for it with life and blood is what it's going to be paid for with. And they'll tell you this stuff, and you spin it in there. And my big phrase right now, Chris and Mark, my big phrase right now is I'm telling people, read the fine print. Start reading the fine print. Don't read the headlines. Read the fine print, because they are sticking it to your ass, and don't even apologize for it. That's okay. Hey, this winter, upgrade your daily routine with Bespoke Post. I love those packages, man. They got the new seasonal lineup of must-have Box of Awesome collections. Bespoke Post partners with small businesses, emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. No matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered, from winter cocktails, cozy threads, camping gear, essentials. Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. So what you got to do is you got to go to boxofawesome.com. Take a quiz. They're going to use your answers to help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. And they're going to release new boxes every month. Tons of different categories. Free to sign up. Skip a month, cancel anytime. Costs $45, but it's got over $70 worth of gear inside. And I think it's way more than that. I really do. So with each Box of Awesome, you're supporting small business. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small up-and-coming brand. I'm going to get you 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and use code WATCHCHAD at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com. Listen to me now. Go there and use code WATCHCHAD. Sign up. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. One of the questions I was asking over the weekend was, why is Joe Biden, why is this administration, why is the White House never fact-checked when it comes to posts and the claims that they make? So, folks, let me ask you a question. What happens when you make a claim that not only can't be substantiated, but in fact is just silly at its face value? When you just look at it and you're like, this is dumb. You get to keep on being president. That's what you get. Last week, the White House posted a graph that made the bold and supercilious claim that more jobs have been created under Joe Biden than under any other president in history. Now, I don't even need to get into the facts, although I will. For you already start rolling your eyes. I know, I can feel it. You're out there slapping your foreheads, heaving heavy sighs, and mimicking putting a gun in your mouth, and you know it. And why? Because you recognize what's really going on here, which is spin by the administration. And here's the thing. Most administrations spin things to one degree or another. You're almost never going to hear a president come out and give a speech about what a terrible job he's done over the course of his term. Everyone wants to be liked because everyone wants to be reelected and reappointed. And, of course, reimbursed for their troubles. But here's the thing. This graph, okay? Even the Washington Post fact-checked Glenn Kessler, who's no friend of conservatives. He had to come out and say it. He wrote, a huge problem with this apples and oranges chart. It compares monthly job growth of 4 and 8 year terms with just 1 year of Biden. Now, I wonder, does that even make sense to you? Does that resonate with you? Do you understand what they're doing? Of course, I think you do, because you've got more than one brain cell floating around in your head. This goes beyond spin. Why use a fair comparison of year to year when you could obfuscate the truth and pull the knuckle-dragging non-thinkers who support you right along behind you. Now, this goes to the very sort of thing that George Orwell described in the book 1984, where you, the citizen, were required to not only speak the way the party wanted you to, but in fact, you had to think the way the party wanted you to as well. And here's a cute little fact about Orwell. He wasn't just pulling all that stuff out of his imagination. That was how Stalin was doing things over in the Soviet Union at that point in time. Look, the job creation under this president, or lack thereof, speaks for itself. It's not too hard to lick your finger, stick it in the wind, and come to the realization that this dude not only isn't doing a good job as our leader, but in fact is probably incapable of doing so in any condition. Now, you know what I'd respect is a leader who would come out and say, I haven't done the best job this past year of creating new jobs, and that's got me thinking maybe I need to change my approach. But that's not going to happen in our lifetimes, folks, ever. Now, if you ask me, things like this serve primarily as excellent wake-up calls to those of us who might be inclined to just doze off on the job from time to time. Remember what I said, you got to read the fine print. You need to be watching for things like this because they'll try to slip them in as if they're real, and they'll do it as often as they can. And hey, maybe you won't believe it, but your neighbor might. Your relatives might. Your kids might. We can't let history be rewritten like this, especially in real time with a graph. It's up to you and me to call out the BS when we see it. So, White House under the Biden administration, here's me making the effort to stay awake through all the news cycle calling you out. It's a bunch of garbage, it's a bunch of BS, and you know it. I couldn't believe when I saw this graph. I shared it, and I said, why doesn't the White House get fact-checked? So everybody on Twitter just blew the administration out of the water. I mean, Joe's got jokes. That's what Arizona Andy Biggs, Congressman Andy Biggs said. Joe's got jokes. Yeah. Tablet Magazine Chief Technical Officer Noah Bloom said, embarrassing. Scott Lincecum said, I like to imagine the annoyed White House economist tasked with creating this chart, just knowing how silly it is. Oh, my gosh. Kimberly Klasick said, the Biden administration believes Americans are this stupid. The red wave is inevitable. No doubt about it. Glenn Kessler, of course, I quoted him earlier, said a huge problem with this apples to oranges chart. It compares monthly job growth of 4 and 8 year terms with just 1 year of Biden. Trump used to do the same thing until his record was spoiled by the job losses in the last year. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Kenny Wallace said, COVID shut down companies and workers were laid off, so this is a graph of those people simply coming back to work. I mean, you got to be smarter than that, folks. I mean, this is the kind of thing they're trying to slide in. And, I mean, based on that graph, Obama sucked. I mean, look at that. Obama was trash, bro. Oh, my God. And look at Trump. Like, this is the thing. Like, somebody came at me the other day, a couple of weeks ago, about Trump and he was terrible with jobs. And I was like, starting when? April of 2019? Or 20, I mean, April of 2020, when everybody got shut down for a pandemic and lost their jobs. People got to read the fine print. That's a big thing. I'm saying, like right now, one of my opponents in the gubernatorial race, the Allen West campaign, they've got a chart out there, a pie graph of a poll that they did. It's got him beating Greg Abbott in the poll, handily, I might add. 15% undecided. And let's see, Don Huffines is like 1.7. I'm at like 1.4. And then Rick Perry, who's not even a real person, not the Rick Perry. Rick Perry's a guy out of Springtown, Texas. They put his name on the ballot just for name recognition. He's getting like 14%. But you got to read and people say, oh, look at this. Allen West is beating. He's beating Greg Abbott in the poll. Okay. But you got to read the fine print. They selected a sample of 1.9 million potential people. They sent out 19,000 text messages and phone calls. They got 445 responses. But everybody's like, look at this poll. That ain't a poll. That's a joke. You got 445 responses. All right? So I'm telling people, read the fine print on this stuff. The Biden administration leading the way in jobs. I mean, my God in heaven, man. My God in heaven. If Joe Biden's responsible for so many jobs, why is it that everywhere I go has a help wanted sign? Everywhere I go. And I mean, and, you know, hey, man, if that Biden economy was so good, if they were really trying to fix that thing up, why isn't anybody getting that $15 an hour minimum wage? Nobody's getting that deal. I saw McDonald's the other day. They were hiring people $10. So much for that. Your college isn't paid for either. I mean, if we're doing so great, then why did it cost me $100 to put 7/8 of a tank in today? Why? $100. I don't know. Why you got to pay $5,000 more dollars? Biden inflation. It sucks, dude. Your shelves are bare. Oh my gosh. We're in trouble. I mean, like, we're literally in trouble. Like, I'm readily and steadily just shopping for just out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to Russia is what I'm going to do. See, that'll be a soundbite right there. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to Greek to Russian. I'm going to convert to Russian Orthodox church. I know I won't be free, but I'll be left alone. All right. I'd go fight Ukraine or something. It's stupid, man. It's stupid. And golly, I just want to date AOC. That's all I care about in the grand scheme of things. I had to get that off my chest right there. I want to date AOC. Everybody does it. I'm infatuated with her boyfriend's feet. What clown world are we living in right now? Crazy stuff. Let's do the Kit Club. Turn that thing on. This goes out to all you parents out there. Listen up. You want your kids to have good, wholesome entertainment and maybe even learn something in the process. Annie's Kit Clubs makes it easy to give your kids fun and interactive projects to keep their minds working and their hands off of devices. And their newest club, Genius Box, is a great way to encourage their curiosity, introduce them to different STEM fields. Each month, your young scientists will get a new box full of 3 hands-on activities that explore themes like geology, chemistry, aerodynamics, and a whole lot more. It's perfect for all kids ages 7 to 12. I wish I could have had a Genius Box when my kids were smaller because they could have had a great time doing these projects. The top secret mission envelope in every box walks your kids through an amazing project like designing a hovercraft, examining fossils, or building robots. Your kids are going to have a lot of fun. They won't even realize that they're learning. So go to annieskitclubs.com/Chad. Save 50% off your first box. That's Annie's Kit, K-I-T, clubs.com/Chad. Annie'sKitClubs.com. Annie'sKitClubs.com/Chad. We'll be right back. Listen, I came out with the bombshell last week. I'm pretty much getting to the point where I'm anti-vax. I mean, look, you know, we talk about AOC, right? AOC goes down there because, first of all, I'm not anti-vaccines. I'm pro-vaccine choice, but that's talking about real vaccines. I don't know about this juice. I just don't. I am not buying into it yet. I don't. The research hadn't been done. All this anyway. You know where I stand on that. You do, you boo. That being said, like AOC went down to Miami, right? She's gallivanting around with the I don't even know what to call them anymore, transvestites. And she comes back, she's fully juiced and boosted. She got the juice and the boost. She gets the COVID. Everybody that's got the juice and the boost has got the cron. Let me tell you, at this point in time, because, you know, in an interview with Yahoo Finance, the Pfizer CEO, Albert Bourla, he said 2 vaccine doses offer very limited protection, if any. The boosters offer very little protection against infection. He said that a version 1.1 of the vaccine it's going to be ready in March. You're only going to get this here because it's banned everywhere else. You can't watch this video, so watch it right here.
And we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine offer very limited protection, if any. The 3 doses with a booster, they offer reasonable protection against hospitalization and deaths. Against deaths, I think very good. And less protection against infection. Now, we are working on a new version of our vaccine, the 1.1, let me put it that way, that will cover Omicron as well. And of course, we are waiting to have the final results. The vaccine will be ready in March.
Now, ain't that some shit right there? Ain't that something? I'll tell you what, man. I mean, you know, like, I don't like saying I told you so. I don't like saying I told you so. But that, like, you can't get that video anywhere else. Right there, they got it pulled down, Jack. They're deleting Twitter accounts over that video right there. Yeah. Let me tell you what you could do. Let me tell you what you folks could do at this point. The best thing every one of you can do. Listen to me now. Best thing every one of you can do, if you done got the juice and the boost, you need to go on a cellular cleansing protocol and start taking as many natural immune system improving supplements out there. And they're easy to get, but you need to get on them. Look, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope to God I am wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't think I am. I think you guys have pumped some shit in your body that I don't know. I mean, I hope, but you just never know. It's Russian roulette, baby. But the point is, this guy. Here's the CEO of Pfizer saying, it ain't doing you any good. You did all this. You went through all the headache of making the decision to get it. Potentially losing your job. They held a carrot over you. You can't just, it's not freedom if you have to threaten to keep taking things away from people in order for them to do it. We got a TikTok? Let me see it.
Don't mind how I look. I know I look raggedy. It's the end of the day. So I'm a non-binary preschool teacher.
What?
And my kids know I'm non-binary. They know I'm not a girl or a boy. I use they, them pronouns in the classroom. We work on it. Not all the kids get it. That's okay. And I go by Mix Gray in the classroom, not Miss or Mr. Mix. And today one of the kids goes, hey, we've got 2 boy teachers in the classroom because the other teacher in the classroom at the time was a guy. And I go, no, there's not. I'm not a girl or a boy, remember? And she goes, oh my God, wait, does that mean you're dead? So I think that's my new gender now. I think I'm going to change all my gender settings to dead.
All right. Well, this is a teacher. This is a teacher who is dealing with the emotional and psychological and spiritual well-being of your child on a daily basis. It's a girl. She's a girl. She's a girl who's very confused in her mind with some levels of schizophrenia and some multiple personality disorders, who's trying to figure this thing out because nobody just comes up with a phrase. I mean, like, how much attention do you need in this world that you got to sit around with a glossary and a definition of terms to try to come up with all the shit you think you are? Kids, if you're watching this show, you listen to this show, and your parents are bold enough to let you, and I know some of you out there, listen, this ain't the way the world is, okay? And if you start believing in this kind of garbage, you're going to have a hard life. You're going to have a hard, hard life. So stop thinking that this is reality, normal, or real, all right? It's not. Take a deep breath. We'll be right back. Probably the most important book that I've ever written. The hardest book I've ever written as well. Am I Crazy? You can get it at watchchad.com. You can even get a signed copy over there. That's where all the fun stuff is. Hey, don't forget to check out my blog, chadprather.com. And you can still sign up for a discounted annual subscription to The Blaze at chadnude.com. And we've got a new shirt out. Taxation is theft. That's right. And a mug as well when you go to chadonblaze.com. Chadonblaze.com. Go get it. We'll see you tomorrow night. Love you. God bless you. Bye.